Hello and welcome to another episode of the Base Automatic. I'm your host, Captain Gorgeous.
And I'm your host, Captain Know-It-All. And I'm your host, Captain Pervert.
So, as you all know, that this program is like a very familiar program you may have watched.
Big moment, new series, and it's the return of the Cool War. I'm very pleased. It's brilliant to see it back. Let's get some new stuff on the wall. And first of all, we saw it earlier on, the City Rover. Now, we are agreed, it's rubbish, yes. I mean, the problem is it's not even a real rover, so it's actually trying to be something that's uncool anyway, which frankly it's got to be. Is it uncool or is it seriously?
No, we're not. Normally I like to argue with the audience, go around, have a bit. No, you're right.
This is a very easy one.
Oh, that
Ferrari.
again.
This
Very
is a double
easy.
Ferrari 612 Scaglietti. Now, this is a sophisticated, elegant four-seater Ferrari. Places the 456. Absolutely beautiful. This clearly is cool, if not sub-zero.
As we said in the last series, this was styled, and I'm not joking, by a man called Ken.
That is a problem.
Now, Ken is a good name if you're a football referee. It's a good name if you're a plasterer. But a Ferrari designer, it's not cool.
There's been some cool Kens down there.
Name a cool Ken.
Yes. Ken Hom?
Ken Livingston.
Oh, thanks for helping me out.
What's case, Russ? Anyone? E-ball. It's getting worse.
This is really
Hang on a
difficult.
minute, we've got one over here.
Well, actually,
Who?
Bobby and Ken.
Bobby and Ken. He doesn't even have a penis. He has a mound. So, that leaves us with this. Aston Martin DB9. Okay? Can I hear anything other than Sub-Zero? Any advance on Sub-Zero? Minus 40. Do you know, you're all wrong.
Uncool?
It's not Sub-Zero.
Uncool.
We have had to build a new section for it. The DB9 section, and it's a French. There it is.
So obviously, if you've seen this program before, hopefully you have, because it keeps continuing the same subject. You may think, yes, we have been limited to do what we could do on the budget of the Base Automatic. That you'll be thinking we should be using proper real vehicles, and obviously we use very cheap, maybe toy cars or whatever. Well, yes, but obviously times have moved on where people like to see additional high special effects on vehicles, like using ancient video game footage of GTA 5. Yes, 5, not 6, everybody, because we knew how that was going to turn out, because obviously we are not trying to offend any ladies out there. Even we got Captain Pervert with us.
What do you mind about that?
Because you are. It's like my disadvantage of me not knowing anything about James Bond, because I am a James Bond virgin, as you keep replying I am. But my closest thing I got about, because we do a car program, and I don't know anything about that famous DB5 gadget car, but the only thing I remember in my childhood was actual Lee Majors playing the Fall Guy, and he's driving this gadget car, and then there was another episode he drove another gadget car, and you explained on that episode of that Fall Guy, because I seen Bounty Bond, and that's the one with the car with going off with the parachute and all that lot.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we got the other one, what's it says, always say always. And you said there were, 3 Bond ladies, but you said no, there was 2 original Bond ladies, and one was from Casino Royale. And you're saying that doesn't really count, but the producers want me to watch Casino Royale.
Yeah, but that's a different Casino Royale. There's more than one,
Right, now you're making more things complicated for me.
I didn't bloody make the bloody films, did I? I'm always telling you.
Don't get funny at me.
Look, lads, don't start arguing. Well, yeah, but he stated it, right? Well, no, but obviously the producers want Captain Gorgeous to watch Casino Royale, and obviously, yeah, he's trying to work out why there's two movies. Now, he's got to go through all the history of that, isn't he, with Ian Fleming and all that lot.
Right, so this is the author, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously.
Well, I don't know, I'm only just starting to learn about Bond, aren't I?
Well, yeah, well, never mind arguing again, right, okay, right. It's like Captain Pervert has been trying to talk about Bond, but technically we were talking about Barbie at the original episode.
Yeah, and then he incorporated a blue convertible and a pink convertible because it was Mattel.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, Mattel have taken over my beloved Corgi because now they're making the James Bond vehicles.
Right, what's that got to do with you?
Well, obviously, I'm trying to educate you, aren't I? Especially with, you know, the Fall Guy, you know, because there's that new movie out, and obviously, you know, you got that actor what plays Ken, and obviously, I thought that'd be quite easy for me to explain to you about Bond.
Yeah, but you're not really doing a good job, are you?
Well, I don't know, I wasn't around when you, whatever many episodes you've been making with about James Bond.
Well, I'll tell you how complicated it is, right? Because obviously, I know with Lee Majors and the Fall Guy, because we mentioned the $6 million man, and I had that, you know, the action figure and all that lot, because, you know, cause obviously, you know, you had that bionic eye, and but then you start talking about nanobots and stuff.
We've already been on this subject in another episode, if anybody didn't know. Yeah, and we don't need to go there, do we?
Well, no.
I mean, I've tried my best trying to explain about James Bond to you, haven't I?
Well, I won't know, because I don't know anything about Bond, even how much you explain about it. It sounds very complicated.
Well, technically, he is, especially about the nanobots and that.
Well, I thought we weren't mentioning about them.
Well, I'm not trying to, but obviously it's got brought up again, hasn't it? Look, me and Miss Broker, right, explained Bond very simple to him, right, and she was very good at explaining about the history about Bond.
Right, but you wasn't.
Now, what, right, Captain Know-It-All, right, you just listen to this clip, right, and you tell me, because you actually focused, so she was quite good with her knowledge, right, but it must be him what doesn't understand. If we can't explain it to him, what's he going to be like when he's maybe studying it properly with them, you know, James Bond Academy, isn't it?
Starting an interest for female drivers of a Mustang and cemented high sales with Thunderball in 1965 film, where Fiona Vloop drives a blue Ford convertible Mustang in 1965 Thunderball by Tilly, driving a white Mustang convertible, and in Goldfinger in 1964. In 1969, Mickey Thompson helped with Mustang's popularity by setting a 295 speed record and 500-mile 24-hour course on the Bonneville Soul Flats for a Hot Rod magazine feature. So the Mustang is a popular Bond car, but wasn't an epic Q branch given car to Bond like gadget cars like the DB5. The Mustang was standard Ford car, impressive but no gadget making it dull compared to the DB5, despite the Mustang's performance. Mustang isn't British, so can never be a pure blood Bond car. However, the DB5 car is.
I mean, there were plenty of vehicles in that film, Thunderbolt. One of the major popular films it was. I mean, the disappointment of the DB5 wasn't hardly in it.
What do you mean it was hardly in it?
Well, yeah. Well,
yeah, but the Aston Martin for Bond original resides now at Lowen Museum at Pebble Beach, just in case you know someone who is boastful owner of a silver birch DB5. A spy car claiming it's the original. from Goldfinger and Thunderball movie means it isn't.
I mean, that's what it really did in the film, was spray water.
Is that all it did?
Well, yeah.
No, he got chased by a baddie, another baddie, the same body, took them out with a
Well,
James Bond looking like motorbike, but...
Well, if you'd seen a previous Bond episode, you know that a lot of the gadgets were taken out
Well, I
before
haven't
to a
seen
sale.
Bond. I don't even know who Bond is.
So, the only way you know it's the real one, if the car code is DP2161, then Sean Connery, that's the only one he drove. And the other one was used as a backup or publicity event to promote the movie on the red carpet. The DB5 is classed as a road car. In previous Bond videos, we have explained its ownership until today. I couldn't cope with...
Well, I can't cope not understanding who this character is.
Well, why don't you bleeding watch him?
I told you, my mum won't let me watch stuff like this because she said he's a bit of a weirdo, that James Bond, and he's not nice to women.
Well, that's true.
Well, no, it's alright, you know.
Well, as I was saying,
That's Bob Simmons, that.
Well, I couldn't cope with Bond's daily commute, as it's a gym workout on your arms, as its 1/8 of a turn is light for the pretend driving shots, so it wasn't designed for a proper commute.
Right.
Well, so now on to the next one. It's been over 55 years since Thunderball's release. A high one in Bond fan channels and websites, despite many fans saying Goldfinger has the honour of being the best.
Yeah, but this one got more ratings and everything, because it was a right hyped-up movie, this
Well,
one.
that's what I meant by the channels and the
I mean,
websites.
the merchandise and everything even went rocketed even more.
And then you got disappointed because of what much of the DB5 was it?
Well, yeah, I told you that. Yeah, oh yeah, a bit of it in.
But I thought you were excited about the Mustang.
Oh, yeah, the Mustang, yeah, but we're on about the DB5, yeah. Oh, the Mustang just took over, didn't it? I mean, yeah, we've got Bond taking out the Mustang and Goldfinger, but no. This is the famous movie with the Mustang that made James Bond scared.
Right.
Yeah, because it was fast. Everyone remembers that. You've got this villainess what drives cars really fast, and Bond was nearly doing something in his trousers department.
Well, did you know this film
decade.
gave Ian Fleming a heart attack?
Oh yeah, that geezer, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's maybe other geezers what wrote this, didn't
Because
they?
it started as a film and then became a book. The other film started as Ian Fleming's book and then adapted to movies. However, Ian Fleming co-wrote Thunderball's screenplay with the producer Kevin McClory and screenplay writer Jack Whittingham. But this resulted in the first Bond legal battle due to Ian Fleming getting bored of the movie process, flew back to his home in Jamaica to write the Thunderball book. However, it didn't include Kevin McClory and Ian. He didn't recognise them, so obviously McClory sued. As Ian used elements from the film they worked on together, this court battle took its toll on Ian Fleming and he had his first heart attack. After his recovery, Ian took his lawyer's advice to settle out of court, and McClory got certain rights that led to him to become the executive producer 2 decades later on the Never Say Never Again. Ironically named because Sean Connery returned to the Bond role despite his intentions to distance himself from the franchise for personal privacy. As it got to the point, paparazzi took photos of him even on the toilet, and that was the last straw until this movie. Because of the producer's rights is why Thunderball and Never Say Never Again had almost identical plots to each other. Sean Connery did not go to any Bond premieres due to over-enthusiastic fans that would become a mass hysteria and stampede. Security risks, many theatres stayed open 24 hours a day to screen the movie, and some cast members attended smaller premiere events, like Molly Peters, who played Teresa, who thinks she's seen the movie 16 to 18 times that year. Connery wasn't the only one who needed to recharge after Bond production, but so did the director Guy Hamilton. After Goldfinger's success, producers Chubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman wanted him to direct Thunderball. but declined due to not having the energy and drained of ideas. And due to his fondness of Bond, didn't feel he could contribute to the franchise until his batteries were fully recharged. Terence Young, who directed both Dr. No and Russia with Love, did Thunderball, and it was his final Bond film. Hamilton, after his recharge, directed Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, and The Man with the Golden Gun, starring Roger Moore after Queen Connie's service, with not Bond but famous Hello by George Lazenby, the one who clearly had a hard time filling Connery's shoes but not wanting to do the same as him at the time. An unfair position for the Australian actor to be in, but came off awkward with scenes like Hello in a kilt and representing Connery's Scottish heritage in real life, and opening scenes of this didn't happen to the other guy was more than cringeworthy for most Bond fans.
So, Captain Know-It-All, you can see what I'm getting at, how they explain stuff, because they're having their own private conversation. And for me not to know anything about James Bond, they're not that much helpful, are they?
Well, technically, she is coming up with some really interesting facts, and you two keep interrupting her.
Well, you ain't.
Why am I interrupting? Me and her are having a conversation, trying to educate that idiot over there.
What do you mean, idiot? It's not my fault my mum stopped me watching James Bond, but she does have a point. Even Miss Broker had a point, saying that James Bond's not very nice to ladies.
Well, yeah, I suppose, yeah, some people will say it that way, but obviously it was a different generation and different generation of movies, but they did try to sort that out later on in time. It's like, y'all might be watching James Bond, right? I could advise you to, start from the humble beginning, because you should watch Dr. No, right? But, some people even watch James Bond on their generation when they were born, not when you were born it's such, because obviously it'd be in the 70s, that would be Diamonds Forever you'd be watching, but you could be watching like something like, Timothy Dalton, right? Because that's the time when we were getting older. Can you remember the days when we were watching like Grange Hill and there were like all that stigma of drugs and cocaine and telling us not to take, drugs just to say no and all that, look?
Yeah, I remember all that.
Well, James Bond did that as well, right?
Right, what? James Bond did what?
Well, he did like a version of Miami Vice.
Miami Vice? What do you think he is, GTA 6 or something?
Well, yeah, as such, yes. I mean, Marion Darvall's quite good at explaining that. I can show a clip on that might be better for me.
Well, it makes sense in you explaining it, wouldn't it?
Harry Knowles and I share a common bond. Timothy Dalton. She starred opposite Tim in License to Kill in 1989.
I saw you at Heller's office.
It gets interesting.
So from that moment when Tim got to meet my character, it was just like, she does everything wrong. But, I'll deal with the real world, you just stay put. Right. Did you guys rock ski together? No, we were in this Teller case. Did you actually have steering in it? Yeah, I had steering, and I was the one steering it, and Timothy was much heavier, so it tended to want to go towards the right, where the camera crew was right at the bottom, and just turned out to be a nightmare, because we had a couple of accidents, and I thought Tim at one point had broken his neck, and he was like so pissed off with me, It's kind of the relationship we had anyway in the movie. He kind of treated me like my character, like a schoolgirl, like I don't know anything.
She knows more than Captain Know-It-All.
But I adored him. He's wonderful, and he's such a generous supporting actor.
Why don't you wait until you're asked?
Well, why don't you ask me? Oh, sex with Bond, yeah. Did we or did we not sleep with Bond? And,
Did I hear that right? There was actually riding a cello case.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's the same one with the magic carpet I showed you.
But it's in the same film.
Well, yeah, the magic carpet, but they actually took that scene out because obviously it might be for the Jell-O case.
Right. Thought Bond had gadget cars.
Well, he does, but what he does, he's got the self-destruct button in it, and obviously he wants to use it, so he blows his car up and uses the Jell-O case.
You what? It sounds stupid, that.
No, it makes sense. Oh, you have to see the movie to believe it.
See the movie? Have you seen what that's doing? He looks like one of them Russian turtle tanks, doesn't he?
Well, you know where Putin got the idea from by watching Bond?
It's like a tank, innit, with extra armour.
It's like a tank with a condom on.
Why would you say that?
Because we haven't finished our clip, that's why.
Oh, sex with Bond, yeah. Did we or did we not sleep with Bond? And, well, I'll tell you who did sleep with Bond. Was my nemesis, Talisa Soto. That's right, because you get pissed off the next day. I get pissed off, and in fact, there's a scene when I'm meeting Q for the first time. Good night, Q.
So you'll be learning quite a lot now.
Some people think it's got to do with the 80s AIDS. I don't know. I mean, if they really wanted to be that responsible about it, they could have had us sleep with Bond and we could have asked him to use a condom, you know? I just... that would have been great.
But times will move on, everyone.
After Carrie and I finished our movies, James Bond disappeared. The franchise was bogged down in legal problems. But a world without Bond was unthinkable. And after 6 years, 007 had his license to kill renewed. But this time, Bond girls were beginning to call the shots.
Well, yeah, never mind moving up to the 90s. We had it terrible in the 80s, didn't we? When we got bombarded by AIDS and all that lot. Yeah, definitely. Because that is one reason why I'm a virgin. Because my mum told me never to put a plastic bag over my head. When I heard a bank robber didn't have his stocking to rob a bank, he used a condom and he suffocated. So imagine putting that on your, baby making equipment.
What's that?
Well, that where your pee-pee comes out.
Right.
Well, if you put a bag over that, it's going to suffocate and fall off, and you end up looking like Ken, wouldn't you? What facts are you coming out with? That is absolutely rubbish. Have you ever done that? What? Done that? Suffocated your dangly bits? No. Is that why you've got little kids then?
Whoa, just stop, right. Sorry everybody, we are not a sexual education program. We are officially a car program. As we all know, we've been humbly learning what I've been learning, where my childhood was about the Fall Guy, and it had loads of stunts in it. And obviously, as I mentioned about the parachuting car, obviously we see that in GTA, and obviously that sort of stunt has been imitated in high budget movies as well.
Well, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Well, as a sort of naughty name and stuff, but yes, I am trying to get off this subject with sexual stuff.
But you obviously we were on the subject with Timothy Dalton, aren't we?
Well, yes.
And obviously you're learning about Bond by the Bucks.
Well, yes.
And even Timothy Dalton liked that idea.
And I'm very, very fond of the Ian Fleming books. And there's a fairly clear understanding to be gained of Bond from those books. The man is a complex man. He's a man who lives very much on the edge of his life, constantly surrounded by the threat of being killed.
He agreed that he wanted to play a harder kind of Bond.
Timothy wanted seriously to change the image quite a bit in that, it wasn't necessarily this guy in the tux. He was supposed to be a tougher character.
He was going to be James Bond. No room for laughs and jokes.
I wanted to capture that occasional sense of vulnerability, and I wanted to capture the spirit of Ian Fleming.
We were very happy with that.
Isn't this movie got some strange things you mentioned?
Well, Yeah, it does. Like I mentioned about the flying carpet and the riding on the cello case. Yeah, it's that movie. And you wasn't happy about, him self-destructing his car as well. And yeah, it's the one where he has the parachute with the vehicle. Or he tries to parachute out of the vehicle. You what?
We were faced with a situation about the stunt with the Land Rover. We decided to go out into the Mojave Desert and take a lightweight Land Rover out there and drop it with somebody on it and see what happened.
You can't just start dropping cars out of the sky and hope that they land safely. We were planning to use a parachute so we could do take two with the Land Rover.
We attempted it twice, and on the second occasion the parachute that they put inside didn't open. It got wrapped around the Land Rover.
So all we got was a Land Rover that looked like it would drop. Well, it was dropped from 2,000 feet.
Instead of being about 6 foot high, I think it was reduced to about 4 inches. It had just flattened completely when it hit the ground. It was an absolute disaster. It crashed down into the Mojave Desert, and there wasn't much of it left. We then reverted to plan B, and we fired a Land Rover off of Beachy Head with an air cannon and had a radio-controlled rig inside it to release a parachute to pull a dummy out of the top of the Land Rover, and then we blew it up.
Seems like they did a lot of hard work for that stunt, didn't they?
Well, a lot more than they did on the Fall Guy, obviously, because, Fall Guy's a TV series, but yeah, a lot more stunts as well, maybe, but yeah, lots of stunts in James Bond, as you know. It's like you was emulating the two-wheel skiing car stunt with the, Diamonds Forever.
Yeah.
Well, Timothy Dalton's second outing, License to Kill. He does it with a tanker full of fuel.
You what?
And that brings us to our challenge. Why not? So, as you know, this is our challenge, and this is our not so time racing driver. Now, if you don't know the rules, obviously I'm going to easily explain it, and if you have seen this, you already know. It's a timed trial contest. Now, we all know that you're watching this classic game, GTA 5. Now, if you're very familiar with the game, it has a very heavy, dangerous road, you may notice, and obviously, as you can gather, the Arkin is driving very fast because it's a timed trial. Usually, when we're doing this challenge, we have a little clock what goes on the edge of the screen telling you how fast the game's going to do it. But for the reasons, we are going to be playing the audio for Captain Courtesy on Casino Royale. Alright, so you're going to hear the humble beginnings of James Bond to get you maybe into that spirit of James Bond.
Chapter 1. The Secret Agent. The scent and smoke and sweat of a casino are nauseating at 3 in the morning. Then the soul erosion produced by high gambling, a compost of greed and fear and nervous tension, becomes unbearable, and the senses awake and revolt from it. James Bond suddenly knew that he was tired. He always knew when his body or his mind had had enough, and he always acted on the knowledge. This helped him to avoid staleness and the sensual bluntness that breeds mistakes. He shifted himself unobtrusively away from the roulette he had been playing, and went to stand for a moment at the brass rail which surrounded breast-high the top table in the salle privée. Le Chiffre was still playing, and still, apparently, winning. There was an untidy pile of flecked 100 plaques in front of him. In the shadow of his thick left arm there nestled a discreet stack of the big yellow ones, worth £500,000 each. Bond watched the curious, impressive profile for a time, and then he shrugged his shoulders to lighten his thoughts and moved away. The barrier surrounding the case comes as high as your chin, and the cashier, who is generally nothing more than a minor bank clerk, sits on a stool and dips into his piles of notes and plaques. These are arranged on shelves. They are on a level behind the protecting barrier with your groin. The cashier has a cosh and a gun to protect him,
So, Captain Gorgeous, you found that quite interesting. And that is interesting as such as our Gimp getting our vehicle very, very confused with the James Bond, submarine car.
Right.
So we're moving on with Captain Know-It-All's challenge now. Well, yes, and this is the bit where I should be explaining now. So, as you all know, that I'm driving a tanker on the most dangerous road, and you may notice there's no point having a clock telling me the timer because the Gimp has crashed. So the best thing for me to do is to see how far I can get further against the Gimp. So, further ado, it'd be nice to just listen a bit more of Casino Royale.
The cashier has a Kosh and a gun to protect him, and to heave over the barrier and steal some notes, and then walk back and get out of the casino through the passages and doors would be impossible. And the cashiers generally work in pairs. Bond reflected on the problem as he collected the sheaf of 100,000 and then the sheaves of 10,000 franc notes. With another part of his mind, he had a vision of tomorrow's regular morning meeting of the casino committee. Monsieur Le Chiffre made 2 million. He played his usual game. Miss Fairchild made 1 million in an hour and then left. She executed 3 bancos of Monsieur Le Chiffre within an hour and then left. She played with coolness. Monsieur le Vicomte de Valorin made 1 million too with roulette. He was playing the maximum on the first and last dozens. He was lucky. Then the Englishman, Mr. Bond, increased his winnings to exactly 3 million over the 2 days. He was playing a progressive system on red at table 5. Duclos, the chef de partie, has the details. It seems that he is persevering and plays...
So, I'll give it your stat, Mr. Captain Know-It-All, then. Yes, I did actually get stuck, so, yeah, I'm not very good at doing the challenge. So, obviously, we move on to Captain Gorgeous.
Yes, so it's my turn with the actual tanker, and as you all well know, that I'm hoping that, I can do the distance of the most dangerous road, and obviously, well introducing myself to drive the tanker. So I'm getting in, as you know, but obviously, I want to continue listening to the story of Casino Royale.
He has luck. His nerves seem good. On the soirée, the chemin de fer 1X, the baccarat 1Y, and the roulette 1Z. Le Boule, which was again badly frequented, still makes its expenses. Merci, Monsieur Xavier. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Or something like that, thought Bond as he pushed his way through the swing doors of the Salle Privé, and nodded to the bored man in evening clothes, whose job it is to bar your entry and your exit with the electric foot switch which can lock the doors at any hint of trouble. And the casino committee would balance its books and break up to its homes or cafes for lunch. As for robbing the caisse, in which Bond himself was not personally concerned but only interested, he reflected that it would take 10 good men, that they would certainly have to kill 1 or 2 employees, and that anyway you probably couldn't find 10 non-squeal killers in France, or in any other country, for the matter of that. As he gave 1,000 francs to the vestiaire and walked down the steps of the casino, Bond made up his mind that Le Chiffre would in no circumstances try to rob the case, and he put the contingency out of his mind. Instead, he explored his present physical sensations. He felt the dry, uncomfortable gravel under his evening shoes, the bad, harsh taste in his mouth, and a slight sweat under his arms. He could feel his eyes filling their sockets. The front of his face...
Well, that was quite interesting, but that's like you're suffering the same incident as well, aren't you, Captain Gorgeous?
Well, yes, but in the rules of driving these trucks with trailers, if your trailer comes off, you've got to make sure that you've got it hitched back on. I mean, obviously if I didn't have a trailer I could easily get up there, but obviously I'm trying to get round to the trailer.
Well, it looks like you made a mess of that. So obviously it's read it and weep, because it's me, obviously. So as you all know, I'm giving a little, a demonstration how you really gonna do this, right? So the first thing you want to do when you're doing this, right, is make sure that the tanker is empty.
What?
Yeah, you got to make sure your tanker's empty, because if you're trying to get there up with a full tank, it's too heavy.
But what about the rules?
Well, yeah, the rules meaning that it had to be full. That's it. Well, did you pay attention about the rules? Because I didn't notice this. Now, look at the ease of me getting up there, right? I'm going up there with quite a full bit of speed, and it makes life a lot easier, doesn't it?
Well, yeah.
But there's a little slight snag, I would say. I mean, obviously, we are not a heavy load on my, tanker, meaning that my vehicle is very quite light, right? So it makes it very awkward when I start going downhill. And as you know, on this most treacherous, dangerous road, it's quite, very dangerous and very heavy, scary.
Right, so this is where you go. You're not doing that, are you?
Well, I'm not a lot further than you two.
Well, yeah, cheating.
It didn't say in the rules, did it? Even like in the movie Bond, you know very well that, License to Kill, James Bond enters it. Yeah, but that's because it was getting shot with holes and all that, wasn't it? Well, yeah, and obviously I had a bit of a problem there, because like I said, with it being light, obviously it's vulnerable that I crash. But if I get back up there and hitch the trailer back on, but unfortunately the trailer's in stay up on top of there. So obviously, as you all noticed, everybody, there was no point carrying on doing it. So yeah, all three of us failed the challenge. So what did you think of that then, Captain Gorgeous?
What, you cheating?
No! About the humble beginnings of the book of Casino Royale. Now, you've got a lot of stuff to sort of learn about, with James Bond, if you're going to start doing serious stuff about him. As you should know about Ian Fleming, the author, how the story goes as well, about with Vesper, and how she, departs. Oh, don't spoil it for him.
Well, what's he getting at?
Well, obviously people do die, so obviously, I haven't spoiled it for him. It's obvious, people will die. It's not like I've given it completely away, have I? Well, no, you haven't given it completely away. Well, yeah, exactly. If I mentioned about, James Bond's bad luck going to weddings and his own wedding as well, like when he got married and all that, and it's a lovely little wedding, and obviously after it, he pulls over and then Blofeld, does a drive-by with his missus and and kills his wife, and it's like he's Timothy Dalton again. It's meant to be a revenge movie because Felix Leiter, his wife, gets murdered as well.
So, why have you just said all that?
Because I'm helping you, Captain Gorgeous. Because obviously you'll be adventuring to see the movie Casino Royale, and obviously you're going to be watching the 2006 one, right? So, as you all well know how the movie starts.
Right, so I'm seeing a bit of the movie right now, aren't I?
Well, exactly. So obviously you got the producers, but this is how the movie starts, right? You get this image, right?
It's in black and white.
Well, obviously, right, that's what I'm getting at.
What, I've just seen a car pull over?
Exactly. That is a spiteful distraction you've just done. Now, what I'm doing is educating him, right? If that car was a Jaguar, it'll give it away, right? Because we all know in Bond, in the universe, that they all drive Jaguars, don't they? Well, there is a deleted scene in Tomorrow Never Dies. Yeah, but that's an animal, right? That don't count. So, Jaguars, as we all know, that with combat with, gadget bad guy cars. Now, obviously, a lot of movies always associate that bad guys always drive like black vehicles and all that lot. Doesn't mean that all typical James Bond stereotype villains are always driving black vehicles. Even more, well, the majority of it they do, but the point is, though, not all the time.
Right, so that's getting more awkward and technical, isn't it?
No, it's not getting that technical. I mean, obviously, I mentioned the Jaguar because obviously, we do like them as villains in a lot of movies as well. They do that. This is going to be interesting. Now you're going to worm your way around this. Well, the thing is, though, that they do colour-code vehicles as a certain characters, don't they? We all know that villains are all meant to drive black vehicles, don't they?
But we're on.
What?
Knight Rider's a black vehicle, and he's not a baddie, he's Michael Knight.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that, because obviously he's undercover, so obviously, he's got to be in disguise mode for the villain, so obviously they'll recognise black vehicle, or he must be a villain.
So, does James Bond do that then?
Well, as I told you, that James Bond's quite common to be driving a blue convertible.
Oh yeah, you did mention quite a few episodes back, hadn't you?
Well, that's one subject he does do, is have a blue convertible. And I did explain, we saw that bit where Timothy Dalton, James Bond, tells Q, does he snore?
What bit was that?
Well, this bit.
Sweet dreams, Mr. Bond.
You don't snore, Q.
So, who's that then?
Well, like I said, it was James Bond's personal mechanic, as you might want to think, right? Because he does introduce him to the DB5. I mean, obviously, you'll be watching Casino Royale, and obviously, like I said, you should be watching Dr. No first, because that's how you should watch it. But, obviously, like I said, you're going to be introduced to the DB5, but the best way is when Q introduces the vehicle. And he explains all the gadgets as well. Yeah, but he didn't explain all the gadgets in Roger Moore's though, did he? Well, no, he didn't. But DB5 he did though, didn't he? Well, yeah, there were other vehicles. I mean, he explained the gadgets and we never saw him doing anything. Or he saw a vehicle and he never explained anything. That was it.
It's like you two are not explaining anything to me now, are you? I thought you were talking about that Q guy being a mechanic and all that lot, but now you're moving on to some other subject about the movie.
Well, I'm sorry, Captain Gorgeous, but yeah, fair enough. But yeah, he's on about Q. This film is quite interesting because Q comes out with his being a mechanic and he helps Bond, and it's one of the revenge Bonds, really quite a good one actually. Yeah, it is actually. It's a bit like, it's a revenge movie, isn't it? Well, yeah, it's like I comment about Emerald Fennell could be interesting if maybe she got let loose to direct a James Bond movie. Yeah, but if you can imagine the vehicles might look like. Never mind that, but it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Now, a lot of people might not know what we're on about, because obviously we've seen the movie, but doesn't mean that James Bond fans are going to go out the way to see a revenge movie, because Bond's a revenge movie, well, sometimes, but this is a revenge movie, because, because it's Promising Young Woman, innit? And the director explains what it's about.
Promising Young Woman is a dark comedy, revenge thriller about a young woman who goes to nightclubs, pretends to be very, very drunk, and waits for people to take her home.
So she has a bit more of an explanation and explains completely a lot more. So here's the clip.
Scene comes in the first part of the movie where we see Cassandra, played by Carey Mulligan, in one of her nighttime activities, and she and Neil, played by Christopher Mintz-Platz, have met at a club, or rather he has found her at a club and taken her home.
So when I saw this movie, my colleague Mr. Captain Know-It-All wouldn't tell me anything about this movie. And you enjoyed it, didn't you? Yes, I did. But the thing is, you keep spoiling it for Captain Gorgeous for the franchise of James Bond. Yeah, but everybody in the whole wide world knows everything about James Bond. Not all the generation, the younger generation might not. Doesn't presume that a lot of people know about Bond. So just let him enjoy and find out himself. All I've been helping him is a few facts, that's all. Now, instead of you whittering on and nagging at me, here's a bit more about Promising Young Woman.
And I think the thing about this scene is it's a kind of subversion of a lot of scenes perhaps we've seen in romantic comedies. The nerdy, nice guy who's sort of not very confident with women is maybe using alcohol as a cover for slightly more nefarious activities.
So why we've gone to this subject with Promising Young Woman? Is it like that, is it now, James Bond?
Well, no, but things like seeing this movie and you can see maybe people's opinions and stuff. It's like thinking, well, your mum, right, and when she was younger, right, seems weird.
Right, yeah, because I'm getting worried.
Well, your mum, once upon a time, would have been young and might have seen Bond when she was a younger generation and have different opinions, because Bond was completely different how he behaved when you're going to find out in the back compared to 2006, the movie, right, to our generation, as I mentioned, with Timothy Dalton, and then obviously we're now as well. And it's one thing I would say about James Bond is, if you want to example something simple like watching movies in history and seeing how history changed and, well, got maybe better or developed better or whatever your opinions you're going to think, from the 1962 to, you know, the 2020s, and that's just now, right?
Why are you finding that quite amusing then?
Well, it's interesting because history is quite bad and you can make mockery and make fun out of it as well if you want, but it was just the times. It's like I want to do right now is shaken, not stirred.
What do you mean by that?
I'm trying to end the show and I think that's how I'm going to end it.
But I don't get it.
One day you will, forever.